Alright guys, how's it going? Welcome to Cryptville. I'm Lisa, and yes, I'm wearing a slanket, but that's because I got cold easily. And today we're going to be talking about the accessibility features in the game The Last of Us Part 1. Because I have never seen a game that has so many accessibility features. It's just not really part of the experience usually in other games. I mean, most games have, the option to change difficulty modes, which is what I usually do. I have it on the easiest mode usually because I don't have reflexes. I mean, I know I've joked about that whilst playing games, but really they're basically non-existent. If someone's coming at me in a game, I can't draw my gun and aim quick enough. So yeah, I always play on easy. And this is a message from my future self to add that the reason I use this adaptive equipment and make use of accessibility settings to play video games is because I have a severe physical disability called arthrogryposis multiplex congenita, or AMC for short, and I have been playing this game on PC using this adaptive setup, which the PC recognises as an Xbox controller. And you can watch my full The Last of Us Part 1 playthrough on my YouTube channel. Now, back to my past self. Let's go into the game, shall we? And have a little look at these accessibility options. Okay, so if you go into the options menu and then scroll all the way down to accessibility, and you will have alternate controls, magnification and visual aids, motion sickness, navigation and traversal, screen reader and audio cues, and combat accessibility. Now, some of this I haven't actually looked at yet, so let's have a look at alternate controls. Customize control. Oh, you can remap and fully customize all controls. That's really good. Ladder movement. Change the directional input for movement on ladders. Character. Movement up-down ladders with L is relative to the player's orientation. Camera. Movement up-down ladders with L is relative to the camera's orientation. Recommended for players who are blind or have low vision and are using navigation assistance to orient themselves. Hand wheel input. Change input for hand wheel interactions, controller only. Left stick default. Rotate L counterclockwise to progress. Hold Y to progress. Oh, okay, that's good. Melee weapon while aiming. Allows the player to melee with X while aiming. When enabled, melee will take priority over fire, scope, or shoulder swap if any of those controls are bound to the same button. Okay, I'm not really too sure what that actually means. Quick turn. Adjust the input for quick turn. Off. Quick turn is disabled. Chord or input. Default. Press A while moving backward. Hold L or press U to quick turn. Input only. Press U to quick turn. Accessibility chord inputs. Excuse me. Don't. Allows the use of controls to activate controls that are bound to touchpads. Oh, okay. Interesting. Holds and presses. Repeated button presses. Change the input method for repeated button press prompts. Tap. Default. Press the button repeatedly to progress. Hold the button to progress. I think mine was on hold. That must come with the easiest difficulty mode, maybe. Melee combos. Change the input method for performing a melee combo. Tap. Default. Press X repeatedly to melee combo. Hold X to melee combo. Yeah, that's what mine was on too. Aiming mode. Oh no, I did have to hold this. Hold default. Hold Alt to aim. Release to stop aiming. Toggle. Press Alt to aim. Press Alt again to stop aiming. Sprinting. Change the input method for sprinting. Hold default. Hold LB to sprint. Release to stop sprinting. Toggle. Briefly hold LB to start sprinting, and briefly hold LB again to stop sprinting. Well, I think that would have been useful for me, but I just did the default of holding LB. Crafting. Change the input method for crafting and upgrading. Hold default. Hold A to start crafting and release to cancel. Toggle. Tap A to start crafting and tap to cancel. Backpack weapon swap. Change the input method for swapping weapons in your holsters. Hold default. Hold X to enter backpack weapon swapping and release to exit. Toggle. Hold X or tap V to enter backpack weapon swapping and tap to exit. I just had mine on the default. Bow firing. Change the input method for firing the bow. Hold default. Hold RT while aiming to draw the arrow back and release to fire. Taps. Tap RT while aiming to automatically draw the arrow back and tap again to fire. Yeah, I think that would have been easier for me, to be honest. Screen magnifier input. Change the input method for enter and exiting the screen magnifier while using keyboard and mouse. Okay. Hold default. Hold N to enable the magnifier and release to exit. Toggle. Tap N to enable the magnifier and stop to exit. To modify this setting, enable screen magnifier in accessibility, magnification and visual aids. Listen mode. Change the input method for listen mode. Hold default. Hold RB to listen. Release to stop listening. Toggle. Briefly hold RB to listen. Briefly hold RB again to stop listening. I used mine on the default. Unlock camera movement. Change the input method for controlling the camera in the backpack menus. Hold default. Hold control to unlock the camera. Release to lock it. Toggle. Press control to unlock camera control. Press control again to lock the camera. Always. The cursor is hidden and moving the mouse always controls the camera. Okay. Assistance. Camera assist. Automatically reorients the camera in the direction of your movement. Select horizontal or vertical to limit assistance to that axis. Designed for players who are new to action games or have difficulty using left stick and right stick simultaneously. I did start with that on, but I didn't really like it, so I turned it off after a while. Lock on aim. Automatically lock on to enemy targets when aiming. Targets the centre of the enemy's body by default. Use R to target the head or legs. If set to auto target, you will lock onto the next enemy automatically even if they're off screen. And I used that on. You can also change the lock on strength. Adjust the pull strength of lock on aim. Arc throw lock on. Automatically lock onto enemy targets when LT aiming are throwable. In stealth, bricks and bottles lock on slightly away from enemies to facilitate distractions. Use R to directly target the enemy instead. And you can change the strength of that too. Auto weapon swap. Automatically swap to another holstered weapon when you run out of ammo. Yes, I had that on. Auto pickup. Automatically picks up nearby ammo and ingredients. Yes, that was quite useful. Minigame time limit. Modifies the time limit for a particular minigame and left behind. Minigame input. Modifies the inputs required to succeed in a particular minigame and left behind. Fewer inputs. Limits the number of inputs per sequence. No chords. Removes inputs that require pressing multiple buttons simultaneously. Well, at this moment in time, I haven't played Left Behind yet, so we'll leave that for when I do. So, magnification and visual aids. HUD scale. Default. Changes the size of in-game HUD elements. Is that HUD? I mean, I know what a HUD is, what the HUD actually is, but I don't know what it stands for. HUD background. Default. Changes HUD background darkness. HUD colour. White. Changes the colour of text and HUD elements. HUD colourblind mode. Off. Highlight colours yellow. Danger colours red. Breath colours sort of a greyish bluish colour. Changes the colour palette of HUD accents. HUD flashing on. Enables flashing HUD animations. High contrast display. Mutes environment colours and adds distinct contrast colouring to allies, enemies, items and interactive objects. When enabled, use G to toggle high contrast display. If your controller does not have a touchpad, enable accessibility chord inputs found in accessibility alternate controls to use button chords for controls that are bound to touchpad swipes by default. Screen magnifier magnifies a section of the screen. Hold N to enable the magnifier and use scroll wheel up and scroll wheel down to change the zoom level where your cursor is hovering. Use left mouse button and right mouse button to quickly jump to maximum and minimum zoom. Release N again to exit. If your controller does not have a touchpad, enable accessibility chord inputs found in accessibility alternate controls to use button chords for controls that are bound to touchpad swipes by default. Screen magnifier input. Change the input method for enter and exiting the screen magnifier while using keyboard and mouse. Hold default. Hold N to enable the magnifier and release to exit. Toggle. Tap N to enable the magnifier and tap to exit. To modify this setting, enable screen magnifier. Translation prompts. Enables Y translation prompts for in-world text. When set to auto, this feature is automatically enabled when a non-English text language is selected or a screen reader is enabled. Motion sickness. Okay. Camera shake. Adjust the intensity of camera shake. Motion blur. Adjust the intensity of the motion blur effect. Camera distance. Adjust the distance of the third-person camera. Increasing this value moves the camera further from the player. Decreasing this value moves the camera closer to the player. Oh, that's really cool. Mine was just set to 0, as you can see right now. Field of view. Adjust the field of view of the third-person camera. Increasing this value makes the field of view wider. Decreasing this value makes the field of view narrower. Full screen effects. Enables screen effects that indicate player status. Persistent center dot. Displays a persistent reticle in the center of the screen, hidden during cinematics and while aiming. Navigation and traversal. Navigation assistance. Pressing L3 faces the camera in the direction of story progression, marking the path to follow. If enhanced listen mode is also enabled, then pressing L3 while in listen mode, hold RB, will instead direct the player towards the most recently scanned item or enemy. Yes, I did use that quite a lot. That was very, very useful. Traversal assistance. Enables simplified traversal input. Press A to automatically perform certain difficult jumps. Automatically climb ledges and squeeze through small gaps. Automatically vault small obstacles while on the horse. Automatically sprint in certain encounters. Yes, I obviously had that turned on too. Ledge guard. Guards against falling off ledges with additional audio and vibration feedback. Prevents you from falling from ledges that will kill you. Yep, that was on. Enhanced listen mode was turned off. Enables the ability to scan for items B and enemies X while in listen mode. Send out a scan triggering audio cues at the target's location. The pitch of the sound changes based on the target's height relative to you. If navigation assistance is also enabled, then pressing L3 while in listen mode will direct the player towards the most recently scanned item or enemy. Well, that would have been useful to have on, I think, but I didn't use it. Scan range. Adjust the maximum distance of enhanced listen mode scans. To modify this setting, enable enhanced listen mode. Scan time. Adjust time for an enhanced listen mode scan to reach its maximum distance. To modify this setting, enable enhanced listen mode. Infinite breath on. Enables infinite breath while swimming underwater. Well, I didn't know that was turned on because I kept returning to the surface after a few seconds because I thought he was going to die. Skip puzzle option. When in a puzzle, select Skip Puzzle from the pause menu to advance to the puzzle's completion. This setting is highly recommended for players who are blind or have low vision because some puzzle progression may not be fully accessible. Okay, so I had that turned on, and sometimes when I did access the pause menu, I did see that option, but I didn't actually use it. Screen reader and audio cues. Screen reader. Enable narration of on-screen text. When enabled, request a screen reader description of your current status with apostrophe? Is that the apostrophe key? I don't know. Screen reader volume can be adjusted from the audio volumes menu. If your controller does not have a touchpad, enable accessibility chord inputs found in accessibility alternate controls to use button chords for controls that are bound to touchpad swipes by default. Cinematic descriptions. Enable descriptive audio during cinematics. This provides a spoken description of key visual elements in the scene. Traversal audio cues. Enables additional accessibility audio cues to assist with traversal and exploration. Plays a sound cue for jumpable gaps and climbable ledges, areas that require crouching, interacts and pickups, gaining or losing movement control. When ledge guard is enabled, plays a sound cue when it activates. For additional sound cue information, consult the audio cue glossary. Combat audio cues. Enables additional accessibility audio cues to assist with combat and stealth. Plays a sound cue for enemy grab and strike prompts, aiming at an enemy, landing a shot on an enemy. For additional sound cue information, consult the audio cue glossary. Combat vibration cues. Enables vibration cues to assist with combat. Plays a vibration cue for aiming at an enemy, landing a shot on an enemy. Speech to vibrations. When enabled, spoken dialogue is also played through the DualSense wireless controller as vibrations, allowing the player to feel how the line is delivered. Only available with DualSense and other supported controllers with advanced vibration features, not available via Bluetooth. Audio volumes. Adjust the volume levels of sound effects, dialogue, music, cinematics and audio accessibility options. Audio cue glossary. Browse and listen to various audio cues that appear throughout gameplay. Combat accessibility. And these are some of the things that I had turned on. Enable combat accessibility. Enables the combat accessibility settings. These settings are designed to make combat accessible for all players. As such, they can significantly alter the gameplay experience. Hostages don't escape. Enemies grabbed by you will not break free while struggling. That was on. Allies will automatically escape when grabbed by enemies. This setting will not apply during certain combat encounters. That was turned on. Enemies don't flank. Enemies will not intentionally try to get behind your position. That was turned on. Reduced enemy perception. Reduce enemy perception in stealth. This setting is relative to the chosen difficulty. Reduced enemy accuracy. Reduce enemy accuracy when shooting. This setting is relative to the chosen difficulty. Invisibility toggle. Hold B to become invisible to enemies while not aiming. Your movement speed is limited while this mode is active. This setting is disabled during certain encounters where stealth is not an option. If set to limited, the time limit will be based on the stealth difficulty settings. Weapon sway. Enables camera sway while aiming weapons. Slow motion. Reduces game speed when enabled. When set to toggle, use Z to toggle slow motion. If your controller does not have a touchpad, enable accessibility chord inputs found in accessibility alternate controls to use button chords for controls that are bound to touchpad swipes by default. Tinnitus sound enables an audio effect that mimics a ringing in the ears when in the proximity of an explosion, and that was turned on too. As you can see, the list was quite extensive, which I think is great. More games should have these kinds of accessibility settings. When I played The Last of Us before it became part 1, it was very challenging, very, very challenging. And I had game rage so many times because I was trying to do a part of the game that I found extremely difficult, even on the easiest difficulty setting. And it was just so hard. So I'm glad that they have updated this game. Are there any other games out there that have such an extensive list of accessibility settings? I'd love to know. I really don't know of any others. So if you could let me know in the comments, please, that would be much appreciated. And also let me know in the comments if you used any of these accessibility options in The Last of Us Part 1 and how they changed your experience. Please like and subscribe, and I'll see you all soon.